phone call with Angelo, and he's in our court doing the best to get everything done for us, and he made some suggestions on our structure, and so we want to work on that. And then also, he's interested in the transition. And so these are some of the questions that I would have waited for until we had the closing and then uh, gotten together with you on it, Warner. But if we can get some of those answered up front, then that'll help me get a responsible presentation for Angelo. So in your um, business, um, who pays the bills in for the Spokane store?
I do everything. I pay
Okay,
all,
so
but hold on. The bills are paid. They're on auto pay. Okay, so like everything that most of it is on auto pay, I should say. The only thing that is not on auto pay is going to be things like payroll, and I do that too. So
okay,
everything is
hold
on
on.
auto pay at this point. Any bill that comes in, if it's um, the rent, it just automatically drafts and sends to them at the end of the month or at the beginning of the month.
Okay, and that's from
Both
uh,
off
a bank account, the bank account uh, with which bank?
Bank of America.
Okay, and that's for both locations.
Correct.
Okay, and how do you handle the payroll?
I do it. So at the end of the week, each team member has their hours reported, and then I submit it. I use a service called Gusto. Literally takes 3 minutes to do payroll.
Okay, so you pay weekly, and then you said a team leader, so that would be like that unit's manager.
No, there's no team leader. There's no need for that. We have specific individuals that have certain roles, and they report to one person in Spokane. That person is my senior salesperson. Her name is Sherry, and Sherry communicates with me. So if there's, let's say, a change in hours or request of vacation or whatever, it all is routed through Sherry. Sherry approves it or declines it, and and of course communicates with me directly. So
Okay,
there's no quasi manager at any of these locations. It's my wife and I are the ones that manage our businesses. However, we have a lead person. Her name is Sherry in Spokane. We do not have a lead person in Reno because it's all a essentially a virtual based model. And so the team communicates with my wife and she manages them.
okay, and how many hours a week is your wife working on that?
We spend it collectively between the two of us 1 hour a day, roughly, of our time. So 5 hours a week per individual.
Okay, and how many employees do you have in Spokane?
One, two, three, four in office. So we have 4 employees in office, and we have 2 that are based out of the Philippines. One is a virtual assistant who answers the phones and does all of that, and then we have one who's our health coach. So she's the one that supports the clients.
Okay, so the two people they're both in the Philippines.
Correct.
Okay, and one of them answers the phone there.
So she's the main person to answer the phone. However, all of the team members in my Spokane office have an office cell phone. So if she's not able to pick up the phone, then one of the team members in Spokane will pick up any other overflow calls that come in. We don't get a ton of call volume. We get some, but not enough to warrant to have more than one person.
Okay. Um, And then, what forms of advertising are you using to bring in the business?
We've discussed this already.
I'm sorry, Werner, I don't remember every word that we say. I'm trying to write these things down. So I apologize if I
Okay.
ask.
I thought it was all in writing, but okay. I mean, I did submit this to everybody in writing, but I'll regurgitate myself. So, both locations we do radio. Both locations we do online marketing through Google, so Google AdWords. Both locations we do social media marketing, which is Facebook and Instagram. And finally, we do TV in Spokane because it actually produces results.
And who does the social media work?
We have an agency that does it. All of the marketing is managed by an agency.
Okay. And is it one agency that does everything?
No, one agency offline, one agency online. Two separate agencies because they have different specialties.
Okay. And do you have a contact person for each one?
I do. But why do we need that now? I'm just trying to understand.
Well, because I'm trying to educate myself.
So why don't we do this? Let's just talk about what do we need to do for you guys to get the deal done? Because here's the thing. We had due diligence. We've had 4 months to do due diligence. You guys have done your due diligence, and now essentially we're doing due diligence again, right? This is what this is, and I've gone through all of this with everybody, right? So I'm trying to understand why we're doing due diligence now and regurgitating information because I want to be clear what these these finance people want from you. Do they want you to run the business? Is that what they're asking of you?
Yes, they want me to run the business.
Okay, so what do they need from us?
And the due diligence that we have done to this point has been from you to someone else other than myself. I don't have all the due diligence at my fingertips. We've sent it to the lender. Mark has some of it, and I'm trying to get a firm grasp on what I need to do to put this together in a educated and manner so that when we make this presentation to the loan committee on Tuesday, that the questions will all be answered and we'll get it approved.
So just to be clear, our business is not very complicated, and I think that what's happened here is either Jeff, the underwriter, has made things more complicated, or the way I'll say three of us have collectively delivered information to him has been complicated. But I want to really be clear on this. There are few people that I need to deal with. I have a few ad agencies. I talk to them very rarely because we've been at this game for a long time. They know exactly what needs to be done. I very rarely communicate with them because there's no need for that. Okay. So there's two agencies that I deal with. As far as, the payroll and all of that, again, it's a simple online 3-minute process. I plug in my team members' hours. If there's any sick pay or overtime or any of that, which we never do overtime anyway, but if there's sick pay or any of that, it's all entered in, done. They get their deposits the following week. We do it weekly because that's, I don't know, for years that's how we've done it. No rhyme or reason why we do it that way. And the only piece that I do daily, other than if I need to, I don't talk to my team daily, but what I do daily is I review our stats, our spreadsheets. We have a few spreadsheets that tell us exactly what happened on that day. So how many people were scheduled, how many showed, of those that showed, how many converted to paying clients, and where they came from. So I'm monitoring that data on a statistical spreadsheet. And as long as
who prepares the spreadsheets?
Each salesperson. So there's two senior sales people, one for Reno, one for Spokane. So the Spokane spreadsheet is created by Sherry. The other one is created by Sheena, and she's our salesperson in Reno. So the senior salesperson is responsible for producing the stat sheet. And it's a Google sheet, so it's live. I mean, I can see it on the spot. They don't send it to me. I just check it at the end of the day. So the part here that they need to understand as far as transition is concerned, that, on the day-to-day basis, is number one, my wife and I are the ones doing it. Okay, so this is not like an ATM printing cash for us and we're not involved. We are definitely involved. Number two, we're using spreadsheets to analyze our business and to go back to our team and say, if we have questions like what happened today, why was the show rate so low, why was the conversion rate so low, like those are dialogues that we will have if we need to. Outside of that, I pay a few bills, and that's really all there is to it.
Okay, and when are you're leaving tomorrow night for Europe?
Yes, correct.
Okay, now how long are you going to be gone?
For 3 weeks. I get back August 15th.
Okay, and without me getting all this information, how are we going to run the business until you get back?
You guys are not going to be able to do anything until I get back. We're not going to be able to close because I don't feel comfortable closing while I'm in Europe. I mean, it's a vacation that we've planned for years, and I don't want to be. My wife's already at her wit's end with all of this. So I don't want to be, in the middle of some place having to stop what we're doing to kind of work through this with you guys. So I don't see how we're going to get this done until I get back. So you guys have plenty of time to appease these underwriters to get the loan. But I just don't. I was willing to close before the end of the month, and the transition was going to be like we discussed last week. Mark can testify to this. Is that I was willing to run it while we were gone, and then as soon as I got back, Mark and I were going to get together, and I was going to pass on the baton and spend whatever time we needed to spend together, so that he felt comfortable. And then from that point on, obviously support you guys as long as necessary. So that was the conversation we all had last Thursday, right? Am I correct, Mark?
Yes, 100% correct.
So that was what I had intended to do. If we were to close before the end of the month, I was going to keep running the business. I was going to give you guys full access to the bank account so you can monitor everything and you can see that I'm not taking money out. But I was going to run the show. I was not going to tell the team about the sale. I was going to continue to drive the business as I had intended. But I mean, there's no way we're going to close this next month or this month. That's not going to happen. Like if you guys get this in front of the committee and they approve it on Tuesday, they need another week to say, okay, let's fund it. So now we're into August, right? So it's not going to happen until August. So that was the plan. I had fully intended to continue to run it until I got back.
Well, you and I had talked the other day, I don't remember which day it was, about trying to, that the last day of the month would be a good day for closing for accounting purposes. It's a good clean break. But now you're saying that you don't want to close until you get back.
Not going to happen. WL, it's not going to happen. Let's be realistic, right? Like you guys have to get this report done. You got to get it in front of the committee. They have to vote on it, and it's going to take at least a week before they.
Even if they approve it Tuesday, we won't hear until Wednesday, which is the 31st. So
they're not going to fund this until August.
Okay. And which day are you going to be back in August?
The 15th.
Okay. Now you're arriving back on the 15th, or you'll be ready to work on the business transfer on the 15th.
No, 16th. I get in the evening on the 15th.
Okay. And have you given anybody the names for the landlords?
we have that.
Mark, do you have that?
Yeah, you do too. It's in the Dropbox, but I can pull that up.
And they are aware. They are aware. One of them is aware of a sale. The other one is not a problem because it's month to month. And my concern about letting her know ahead of time is she's got a big mouth and she's going to tell my team that's in Spokane or in Reno, excuse me. But the other group, they're a large company. They own multiple commercial properties. They are aware of the sale. And
Yeah.
I have given Mark the information to reach out to them when you guys are ready to request the transfer of lease. They're probably going to have to do a credit profile on you guys or on Mark at least, and then they would transfer the lease over. But that's, yeah, I mean, you do have that information.
Okay.
So Reno is Judy McGee with McGee Family Trust.
Correct. Please don't reach out to her though until we have this finance secure. Okay, like I don't want her opening her big mouth and telling my team, because the last thing I need is instability in these offices.
Yeah, and we definitely don't want that
especially with
at all, but not while you're out of town.
Especially with me being out of the country, I can't afford
Yep.
it.
Okay. Werner, can you tell me more about the consulting services that you do online? I think you mentioned, or somebody mentioned, that you have a computerized program that they can log into and get advice or whatever.
I don't provide any consulting services. I'm not sure where you got that idea from.
Well, I come to you as an online customer. How do you help me lose weight?
I don't provide online services. We have a business that sells weight loss in 2 cities. We support them virtually through an app. Okay. So our office, the clients download an app that is provided by my manufacturing company, which is New Wave Weight Loss, right? So that's where we get our supplements from. But we also have an app, and the communication between the health coach and the client transpires through the app. So that's how we support our clients.
Okay, well,
so there's I want to be really clear. There's no telemedicine, all right? Because that language was in that denial letter. We do not provide telemedicine. Never have, and that's up to Mark if he wants to bring on GLP-1s and start providing medical treatment. Then that's a different story. Then he's going to have to get into telemedicine and have the platforms for that. But we do not. And the HIPAA compliant question that came up, that's all consistent with our app. Our app is HIPAA compliant. That's the reason why we communicate through the app. So that
can you explain to me again how the app works?
Are you familiar with apps at all? Like, do you know what, like, for example, WhatsApp? Have you ever used WhatsApp or anything similar to that on a phone?
I don't use it. I mean, I'm familiar with WhatsApp. I've got it on my phone because somebody wanted to talk to me on it, but I don't.
Okay, so the application or an app that anyone can download onto their phone, they are provided a login credential when they sign up with us. So the login credential is their email and then a secure password. Once they log in, the app does several different things. It allows them to track their weight, it tracks their food intake, it tracks their water intake, it does a lot of metrics. But the most important piece of this, there's 2 pieces. One, it guides them through the program. So it tells them, okay, today's day 1 of the program, this is what you need to do on day 1. And it takes them through that process until the end of the program. The second piece of this is that it's used as a mean, or a tool, I should say, for the client to communicate with their supporting health coach. So they say, health coach, I'm not losing weight. What do I need to do? The health coach responds back to them in a dialogue. So tell me a bit where you're at in the program. What are you doing? Where are you at with your protein, veggies, all of that? This is what the app is used for. So that communication happens back and forth between the app. Occasionally, my staff has to get on the phone with them and talk to them. So if that happens, again, it's through the VAs that are in the Philippines, but they are health coaches, right? They are the ones that are conducting the support. We are not providing medical services. I just want to be really, really clear. There are no medical services that are being provided.
Okay, so the health coaches are the 2 people that you have in the Philippines.
Correct. But I want to also make this really clear. I know you're recording this, so you can go back and listen to this. Everybody in the office understands how to support clients through the program in both locations. So if there's a breakdown in communication, which can happen, right? All the team members know exactly how to help supporting these clients. So we have everyone is cross-trained. It's really important that you guys understand this. Everyone knows how to do everything. So they know how to health coach, they know how to sell, and they know how to put people on body contouring lights. So if somebody's out, or if someone's sick, or whatever the issue is, clients will ask a lot of questions. And so those questions that are asked when they come into the office are answered in the same way that the health coach answers and supports the clients. But I hope that makes sense. I hope you can understand, like, the fact is that the app is not telemedicine. We're not getting on the phone and like what we're doing right now, and they're communicating that way. It's all in writing. So that there was never a he said, she said kind of situation. But again, it's in a HIPAA compliant environment. So it is a safe, protected communication platform.
Okay. And then the nutritional supplements, how do you sell those?
What do you mean? Sell it to the company or to the clients?
To the client.
It's a part of the sales of the weight loss program. So when they come in and they decide to move forward with the weight loss program, they pay a fee, and that fee includes the supplements.
Okay. And how many different supplements do you have?
In the kit, there's 7 supplements. They are used all synergistically over the course of a 9-week program.
Okay. All right. So now, let's say somebody calls based on a social media posting, and they call and they want to sign up. Walk me through that. How's that going to help?
So when they call in, there's 2 ways they can do this. 1, they can call to schedule, or 2, they can schedule themselves. Can I share my screen on this platform or no?
I think so. Is there?
Let me look.
I'm
looking.
How about the third button, the third
Yes.
round?
Okay. So let's just say they hear us on the radio. Okay. Can you see my website in Spokane?
Yes.
So they go here to the top right corner. It says schedule a free consultation. It's going to pull up a calendar. Now they can do this over the phone, and they can just call in and my staff can do it for them. Or if they're, they see an ad and it's after hours or in the middle of the night or whatever, they can pick a date, and then they can go and they can schedule. Okay. So once they schedule, it pops onto the team's calendar, and like this is the calendar for today. So these are the people that are scheduled for appointments in the office right now. And depending on the appointment, it's either in person or phone. If it's in person, the person comes in, my staff will deal with them. Like this one's an in-person consultation, whereas this one might be a phone consultation. So my staff knows what they need to do, either it's in person or a phone consultation. So in that process, now you understand how they kind of come through. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Stop sharing. So once they're scheduled for the consultation, the next step is to go through the process of, essentially what a consultation would look like, right? So the question will be, tell us a little bit about, why you're here. And then they go through, a consultative sale process to get them to buy. At the time, if they decide they want to move forward, they either pay credit card, or we do offer financing. We use a company called Cherry, which provides. Did we lose them?
No.
Oh, okay. We provide financing, and as a result of that, the client then either pays with a credit card or they finance. Once they sign up, they receive the kit. All right. Here, I'll show you what that looks like. I know I've sent pictures of it before, but I will show it to you again. So let me share my screen again. So at the time of them signing up, they will receive this kit, and you can see the different products that are in there. All right. This is a really nice kit. It's very, very high end. And so they get their kit, and then they're also instructed to download the app, and they make sure that the app is working. And from that point forward, they pass the baton on to the health coach. The health coach is made aware through our spreadsheets. This person signed up, please reach out to them. And that's it.
Okay. Now, the nutritional supplement that looks like a liquid form. I'm accustomed to taking vitamin tablets.
Correct.
It's got the eyedropper, and what do I do?
They're sublingual drops.
Hang on just 1 second, please. Okay.
They're sublingual based drops. So they go under the tongue.
Okay.
And they're absorbed into the bloodstream immediately.
Okay. Okay. And then now, Dr. Mark is going to be offering prescriptions. So how would those be delivered to Mark? He's in Wisconsin, and the client is in Spokane, let's say, and who's talking to them that would then suggest that the diet drug might be helpful, and how would we work that?
So again, the way you guys choose to do that is really up to you. There's many ways to do it. I am not somebody who prescribes drugs in my office, never have. So I can't say this is the way to do it, but I will tell you what most people do. Most people have a telemedicine platform. So when they're presenting weight loss as an option and the client wants to be on semaglutide, Mark and I already talked about this, and this is a medical decision. This is not a business decision. The medical decision is made where we want the patients to be on a healthy, more natural approach, right? Which is what our program is. But if they're insistent on using semaglutide or GLP-1 agonists, which is what the medications are, then the doctor, being Dr. Mark, says, okay, we are going to do a patient interview, and we're going to make sure there's no contraindications for you to be on this drug. And then from that point on, the drug is prescribed and it's drop shipped to them. Okay. So most of these drugs, like you see it everywhere on television, all these Ozempic and Wegovy and semaglutide ads. Very few people go into a clinic and get an injection. Okay. Most of this is done through through drop shipping. So they get the medication shipped to them at their home and they inject it themselves once a week.
Okay, and that so the contact then is through the health coach.
No, not that stuff. When it comes to that, it's going to be either Dr. Mark or a mid-level provider, either a nurse practitioner or a person, a PA that Mark would have monitoring that. But when you start injecting drugs into people, the health coaches are not responsible or cannot be held responsible for that. That's out of their scope of practice.
Okay, so then
what would happen is they would initially still do the same consultation, and ideally they work with the health coach first. But if that's not enough, then it's appropriate to discuss medications, and then it would be with me or someone like me doing a medical visit via telemedicine. So usually a video call in a HIPAA compliant platform with medical records saved to the cloud in a HIPAA compliant database. So there's services that can handle all of that. That's not a big deal. We wouldn't be reinventing the wheel with that.
So my concern here, WL, is that these guys think we're a medical clinic, and we're not.
We've made it clear that you aren't currently, but I think they are evaluating that piece of it because that's part of our business plan going forward. So they want to know it's viable.
But I don't agree with that because I read your letter, and the letter states,
I know,
to a current medical setup when they start talking about HIPAA compliancy and transfer of patients and that kind of thing. So I think it needs to be, more information a lot of times creates complexities, right? And it makes things more confusing. And I think that's what's happened here. And I think what we need them to understand is that this is a very, very simple business. It's highly profitable, but it's a simply run business. There's not a lot of complexities. We don't have tiers and layers of management. We have a very, very simple system. The team is very well trained. They've been with me for a long time. My wife and I keep in touch with them as needed. Okay, like if it requires 3 hours in a day or no hours in a day, we give them whatever they need. But they are very self-sufficient. They're highly motivated. They're paid well, and they know how to take care of the clients. Now, if you're going to bring in medical, which is what you guys want to do, and I recommend that's a good choice, that's not something we're currently doing. But for Mark to bring that on is not complicated. As a medical provider who would be licensed in the states that you would be providing these services, that's all he needs to be, is licensed and have a DEA license in those states. And once he has that, you guys are off to the races. As far as if someone says, I want semaglutide, they can still go through a consultation team at the office, but they can't give them the sign off. They have to be signed off by a medical provider. Just like you, WL, if you wanted a drug, you can't just get, you have to go to a doctor or a nurse practitioner to get them to say, yes, we'll write the script. So the only person that can write the script is Mark.
And I think the other piece that at one point they had asked about, and I don't want them confused, is this process is very easy if we're doing it as cash payment. We're not messing with insurance.
Correct.
And so that's something that needs to be very clear as you're explaining to them again. As Werner said, really I need my medical license for the state and my DEA license. And those are easy to have, easy to transfer. I just can't do it because I can't do it yet, because once I do it, it's going to cancel what I'm able to do now.
Don't tell them that now, because it's just going to create more complexities.
Yeah, by the time we start a medical practice, those things will be there. It's easy.
Can you tell me about the body sculpting?
Sure. So every time they come in so again, if people are local, which is the majority of our clients in each market, we're always trying to sell both because we get better results, right? That's the first reason. The second is it's more profitable. So when the client says, okay, sounds great, they sign up for body contouring, it's either 6 or 12 sessions per client. Okay, so that's generally speaking 6 or 12. Sometimes they'll buy a few more, but usually over the course of that 9-week program, they'll do 6 or 12 sessions. And the way that these lights are a grade 2 medical device, if you know what that means, it's like it falls in the same category as a tongue suppressor. They're very, very safe. All right, there's no danger to them. So in the state of Nevada and the state of Washington, you are not required to have any licenses to apply the body contouring technology or lights to the clients. So they come in for that. It's a 20-minute session. The pads are wrapped around them. Let me see if I can show you a picture of it.
Red light, right?
Yeah, correct. So I want WL to see it. So let me see if I can pull that up on my website. Yeah, let me do this. Hold on. Let me share my screen again so you really understand this. Okay. All right. So trying to get to a place where you can kind of see what it looks like, where the client has the lights wrapped around them. Just give me a sec. This is just we've created an infomercial to explain what it is. So can you see there's a person lying here, and you can see these pads that are wrapped around them, and their legs, their abdomen, and their arms. And so these red light LED, they create these these tiny little holes in the fat cell, right? And so what that does is it allows the fat to drain out of the fat cells. So when we do this in the office, we measure them with a device. It's a 3D body scanner, and the client loses, generally speaking, collectively over 2 inches in their first session. So that's what the body contouring is designed to. body contouring, if you were to explain this really simply, it reduces inches. The weight loss program gets to the root cause of why the person is dealing with weight loss resistance. So that's the difference between the two. Does that make sense?
Okay. And who operates this apparatus?
We have 2 people in the office that do that, but they're called body contouring techs. But again, like I shared with you earlier, everybody in my office knows how to use the technology. So in Spokane, we have 1 person. She works full time, and then we have 3 others that are trained in this and have done it either in the past as a job or have been trained in it. And then in Reno, we have 2 part-timers that do the body contouring. That's the only thing we actually do in person in Reno is the body contouring sessions.
And Werner, do you only have red light? You don't do any other modalities like cryo or anything?
No, we don't do anything like that.
Okay. All right. Anything else you want to tell me?
No, you tell me what you need so we can be done with this. So what are the questions that he needs answered? And I want to make sure I give you the right answers.
Well, it doesn't matter what he needs right now, other than I need to be able to tell him what we're going to do.
I don't understand that.
Well, they want to know how we're going to be able to take over the business and not lose customers, not lose money. All they're interested in is securing their money and making sure that they aren't losing.
So if you guys just let the business run like it's running and learn from me when and how to check in with the team and to communicate with them, that won't happen. See, the thing that they don't seem to understand is that this was developed, when I developed this business, I was living in Canada, right? I built this thing virtually from day one. I've never ever lived in any of the locations that we have businesses in. As we've grown, I've added team members to the location to create legitimacy and to offer additional services, predominantly body contouring, right? I have trained my team so well and I pay them well that I don't need to micromanage them. There's no micromanagement required. I personally am not treating anybody. There's no need for me to engage unless the case is extremely difficult and it requires a healthcare provider. I can jump in, and that's what Mark would be doing. But that is extremely rare because, again, most of the people who are coming to us, they have medical doctors, but nothing we do is dangerous. All right, our product line is all food grade supplements, and we're changing their diet. We're putting them on an anti-inflammatory diet. So there's not a lot of complexities as far as the patient/client management side of things. As far as the business side of things, as I said to you, I mean, there are many multi-million-dollar companies that are run the way that I run my business, which is using spreadsheets.
Okay. And have you talked with your partners about the possibility of selling the nutritional supplement side of it?
No. We have to get this done before I even entertain that. We got to get this done, right? We got to get these guys satisfied. So I want to be convinced that this is actually going to work this time, because when I read this letter it goes into this whole thing about employee agreements, business plans regarding the retention of key employees. I mean, again, as far as creating language around that, as long as you guys do and run the business the way I'm running it, you're not going to lose them. They're very committed to the business. They have identity in the business. Sherry's been with me from pretty much day one. They look at it as if they are owners in the business. They take pride in what we do.
Okay. How are sales this month?
They're down this month, but that's very typical. Like if you look at our, if you look at our June from last year and July, it's the same thing. We're down. People are on vacation. Kids are out of school. They're on vacation. They're not more focusing on weight loss. They're traveling. So usually come September, that's when things start to pick up again. And that's generally how things are historically.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for your time. Mark, anything else you want?
No, I think I'll send you my notes from everything we talked about. I think it answers all the questions you had said you wanted to cover. And I think between that and, what I've already sent you, we should be able to cobble together the answers Angela wanted.
Okay.
What
All
are
right.
what are his questions? I still don't
Oh,
understand.
the ones from the letter. And then, like I told you, is just from the conversation WL had with him, it sounded like he wanted a better description of the management and the transition plan. So
So wouldn't you guys be better served if I actually spoke to this guy and explained this all to him?
I mean, I think in the ideal world, you do that to Jeff, and that's not allowed. And I feel like I've told Angelo much of what we just discussed, but it's getting lost in translation somewhere.
No,
So
I think Werner, Angelo is pushing for us as hard as he can, and he wants us to make a couple of changes in our management structure and the way we set up a new company. It'll be the new company that's buying the two businesses, and he wants us to set that up in a certain manner. And he's planning on getting that information to me today or tomorrow. Once I get that, then I can put together a transition plan and an ongoing management plan. And with that, then he'll be able to convince the committee, and the committee then will give us the approval that we're looking for.
okay, but let's touch on this letter, okay? Because I think if you guys
Ignore the letter.
No, I'm not going to. I'm not going to, because I don't believe that. I believe that these are real questions that you need to address. And this being here, the one that goes into the conversation around, it says this implies that there are key employees at the locations that are light up, and they can't even write. That their grammar is absolutely atrocious. That they have key management in place that deal with the front end and back end operations with very little oversight from the seller. So that is false. I don't know where they got that bullshit from, but that is completely false. All right. Operations are Nicole and I, my wife and I. We manage operations, but we have key employees that have roles: sales, support, which is the health coaches, body contouring techs. That's it. Those are the three pillars of our team. And they all have their roles, and they are all defined, and they know what to do. But my wife and I are still the ones pulling the triggers. We're the ones that are communicating with them. So I think you guys need to really address that on the, you can't skim over that. So there is full oversight, okay? Just because we're not physically present doesn't mean that there's no oversight. Oversight shows up in two ways. Shows up in the statistics, which is a spreadsheet I look at. It shows up in the deposits, and it shows up in the client reviews. As you know, if you guys look at our websites, we have a 5.0 review on Google. So that's how we know that we're doing a good job. And I think you guys need to really put that in writing, so that they understand that this isn't just some ATM that's printing cash for us and we're just trying to exit it.
Yep.
So I would address that. The other thing I would address is this plans for medical facilities operations. Clearly, they're not clear on what you're going to be doing with that, Mark. So you might want to put that, right? And how that's going to work.
Well, yeah, I think that was Angelo going further than he should have on it, because he would like to, bring in the stem cells and radio frequency treatments and whatnot. But I mean, that's not part of.
But who are they to tell you to do that? Like, I'm sorry, they're a lender. It's not their. They don't have the.
No, you're not wrong. And so
ridiculous.
there needs to be no facility. I don't even need a desk chair for the plan that I have.
Okay, but
I never walk in the building.
But let's just say this, okay? My humble opinion to help you guys get through this bullshit is to tell them, I'm going to be moving up to Spokane for a period of time, and I'm going to set up in-office consultations. I'm going to start the medical, because they want to hear that. If they hear that you're going to have some skin in the game by physically being present, they'll feel more confident in lending to you. And in that time, I'm going to transition a mid-level provider to manage that. Now, they don't need to know it's telemedicine or not telemedicine. Okay. My recommendation to you guys is to get a solid yes, is to say, Mark, I'm going to be there, and then I'm going to hire a mid-level provider. So I'm going to get the ball rolling. I'm going to get some revenue going, and then I'm going to bring in a level provider that I'm going to oversee.
Right. No, I know what you're saying. Mm-hmm.
So put that in writing. If it's factually correct or not, you don't know that. You might end up doing that, right? You might end up doing that. If it was me, I would spend as much time as I needed to in the location to get that piece going. So I would address that. I would write that up, that I'm going to move there and spend 30 days, 60 days, whatever time to help get the medical stuff integrated. And then the rest of it, like HIPAA compliance and NPI transfer, there's no transfer or renewal of NPIs because I don't have an active NPI. I'm not billing insurance companies.
Yeah. And mine stays with me. Mm-hmm.
And you aren't going to be either. So you're not required to have an NPI unless your semaglutide or your GLP-1, requires that of you, but they usually want your license and your DEA number. They don't care about your NPI. So again, they're pulling this stuff out of their butt. I don't know where they get this stuff from. But you need to address that. Transfer of operational certificates and licenses. I mean, that would be the first day we meet. Physically hand you the shares of the companies, all of that. Go to the bank, assign the banks to you guys, right?
Yes.
Right.
But that needs to be written out because they're clearly unclear on that. I'm just reading the last point. Along with the other issues identified, the fact that none of them were presented. Okay, no. So that they're just
I think
saying,
that was a nothing point. Yeah, that was point 3 was nothing. It was just reiterating.
So you guys have to address B. You can't ignore it. And the A as well, the transition. We will do what we need to do that you guys are comfortable in taking over the reins. And that will require in-person meetings, and eventually that will transition to phone and Zoom support. This is how if they're veterans at doing lending, they would understand that this is how it usually is done.
Okay.
But I'm encouraging you guys to address it, because if you ignore it, you're going to get the same thing. You're going to get a denial letter.
All right. Well, thank you, Warner, for taking your time today. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Take care.